Howdy folks, I'm happy-go-lucky Harris Checkerspot, happily hugging huggable hyacinths.
I'm Amber.
And here are more huggable hyacinths for us to hug because they're just so huggable as flowers. I don't know, I don't think flowers are particularly huggable, but I guess...
Maybe you do now that you're a butterfly. And Brian held a Harris's Checkerspot the other day.
I did. I held one, and you'll get to see a picture of that too. So let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Embarrassing My Husband for Saying That I Baby Trapped Him? Hi, this is a throwaway. To put it bluntly, me and my husband had a surprise baby while we were young. I was on long-term birth control at the time, an implant in my arm, and I had to have it removed after we found out that I was pregnant. Well, last week we were out for dinner with some friends and he was making jokes and slipped in about how he thinks that I baby trapped him. No reason for it, nothing to back up this ridiculous accusation, never mentioned before, but I guess drunk words are sober thoughts. Well, our friends obviously looked a little bit shocked and uncomfortable, especially when they saw my face. I asked my husband what he was on about, and he said how it was weird that we had been sleeping together for 4 years and then I randomly got pregnant. I responded by asking him a flurry of questions like, oh, did I baby trap you for your money? He and his family were broke, mine is well off. And did I baby trap you for your house? We live in one of my parents' properties at the time. Did I baby trap you for your cars? He didn't have a license at that point. He didn't respond, and then our friends just changed the subject. He's been giving me basically the silent treatment ever since, only one word answers, and only when I speak to him. By the way, since having our first, we've been married for 3 years, we bought a house with my deposit and had 2 more children. This completely caught me off guard because he really seemed quite upset by this. I know that it was cruel to embarrass him, but a common phrase in my area is don't dish it out if you can't take it. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, what he was doing here was very not cool. He's making a serious allegation against OP, essentially accusing her of reproductive coercion.
Yeah, a crime.
Yeah. And so I think it was perfectly reasonable for OP to point out the absurdity. I mean, first of all, he doesn't seem to understand that, like, with a long-acting birth control, like what OP had, like with her arm implant, that's something that has to be surgically removed to stop working. She can't, it's not one of those things you can easily tamper with it. It's not like if you forget to take a dose, like it's literally just constantly putting things out into your arm.
She microwaved her arm to make sure that this birth control failed.
So I'm concerned by his lack of comprehension there. And also by the fact that, like, just because you don't get pregnant in the first, like, 3 years doesn't mean year number 4 won't be the charm. Like, there's a statistical probability every single time.
If you are having intercourse during a woman's fertility window, then there's always going to be a chance, even, you know, under the, when using birth control methods, that it's going to, you know, fail and that the woman might get pregnant, right?
Right. And, like, it is not trapping if 2 consenting adults are using contraception and the contraception fails. Mm-hmm. No one trapped anyone. It was an unfortunate accident, but that's just how that works.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, you know, not everyone is meant to be a parent and not everyone should be forced to be a parent, right? And the thing is, like, if, you know, OP had decided that they were not able to or did not want to be a parent, then that could have been a different kind of conversation. Or if their partner had also talked about that, then they could have talked about what to do in that particular case, right? And I think that at that point in time, you know, that's a reasonable discussion to have, but you can't make this kind of assertion 3 years after the fact and be like, I don't want to be a parent anymore.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's one thing to have regrets, but you can't then accuse your partner of a crime just because you're tired of being a dad.
Yeah. So I don't think that OP's in the wrong here. I just think that he really needs to figure out that he's not God's gift to the planet here, you know? Like, he walks in and is acting like he's bringing everything to the table when he's got nothing. He thinks he has 4 aces, but he only has a pair of 2s. Not an aces. He's got 2s, but he thinks he's got aces. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Calling My Girl a Child? And Amber wants to read this one.
Title is weird because it'd get deleted otherwise. I'm a 27-year-old male, and I'm with Jessie, a 24-year-old female. She's pretty great in general. She's fun, we can talk about anything, and supportive. Unfortunately, though, her biggest flaw is that we have vastly different interests. We are both collectors, but collect very different things. She likes to collect Build-A-Bears and Monster High dolls, which frankly seems a little childish. These are literally meant for kids after all, and I know it's becoming a thing with adults, but I still find it weird. Meanwhile, I have a big interest in tech and like to collect Apple products. It's a bit costly, but if I'm being really honest, it's a lot more grown up than Jessie's hobby. Yesterday I was looking at her collection and something inside me snapped, and I realized I couldn't deal with her toy collection anymore. I confronted her and asked her to either pack up her toys and store them away or get rid of them because I was tired of looking at them. It's embarrassing when people come over and see them all on display. She said she didn't want to because nobody has a problem with them. I'm sure they do. Everyone is just too nice to say anything about it, and that she pays for them herself and pays rent, so she should be allowed to have them out. I get upset she wasn't listening to me and called her a child, which made her storm off. She's upset now and is asking me to leave, but since I pay rent too, I'm not going anywhere. I feel like she's blowing this out of proportion. Normal adults don't like toys. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
So, the thing is that I think he's being extraordinarily pretentious here. I think that he doesn't get to determine what kind of toys adults play with or don't play with, because there's lots of kids who play with iPads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're called the iPad generation for a reason here. So doesn't get to have the moral high ground on devices that children use. And just because something is used by kids doesn't mean that it's exclusively for children. Plus, I'm pretty sure that Vlad the Impaler would think that his hobby was pretty childish too.
All right, I got a song for OP here, "King of Anything" by Sarah Bareilles. If he hasn't heard that one, it might be a good one to listen to. I also like the audacity here of him to call her childish because she has her own free will and doesn't just bend to his demands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is acting like a parent to her. He's not acting like a partner.
Yeah.
He has decided that his taste is the only taste that matters. She's another adult in their household who should have equal say. No. She just has to do as he says, and if she doesn't, then she's a child and not listening to him.
Yeah, well, and that's it. It's like, he shouldn't be infantilizing his partner, right? I mean, you're a partner, you're not a parent. And if you find yourself, infantilizing your partner and treating them like they're a child for you to care for, that's not a good place to be in a relationship. Now, this might be a irreconcilable difference in the relationship where he, doesn't like her hobbies. It's a deal breaker because she plays with toys or something like that. But he would be doing her a favor, I think, at this point in time to, leave at this point in time, because it's not healthy or good to impose your version of adulthood on another person, right? And so I just think that he is deeply mistaken, and I think that he is also just plain rude.
But what do I know? I'm not a normal adult because I have plushies, so clearly my opinion doesn't matter here.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people collect different things, and you can't really rag on people for their collections. Plain and simple. Some people collect trains. And there's nothing wrong with that. Little kids collect trains too, play with trains. I don't know. I just think it's absurd that he is trying to pull this kind of, you're not an adult, acting like an adult because you are collecting toys. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and again, I've said this many, many times, but the great thing about being an adult is you get to pick. I really hate when people try to limit not only themselves but other people because this is too childish. You're an adult. There's no one watching over you telling you can't.
Yeah, there's no adult police that's gonna arrest you and throw you in jail for not being a child, an adult enough.
Oh, you have a Monster High doll? Straight to adult jail for you.
And adult jail just happens to be adult kindergarten, so it's actually not a punishment at all. You just get to be a kid again. We should bring forward this adult jail idea. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, "I'm a 20-year-old female and my boyfriend, a 22-year-old male, wants me to dress like a middle-aged woman. Recently, my boyfriend has made it clear that he does not like the way that I dress. I asked him what he would prefer that I wear, and he showed me a picture of his cousin's wife explaining that he thinks that she dresses well. She has kids and is somewhat older than me, and I can understand him wanting me to dress more conservatively, but it's not just that. The clothes that he's picked out for me are all things an older woman would wear. I just don't feel confident in the things that he picks out, and I feel as if it would look odd for me to go out dressed like that. Well, next weekend, he wants to take me to his sister's wedding. I picked out a dress, and he said that he disliked it because it was too frilly. I had a feeling about what he wanted me to wear, so I looked up a mother of the bride dress and I showed him, and he said that he preferred and liked those options. This seems so odd for me. I feel like a sack of potato in the clothes that he wants me to wear. It makes me not want to go to this wedding with him at all. Can anyone explain where this is coming from so that I can understand? How do we find the middle ground? I feel upset by this and the way that he wants me to dress, as it makes me feel very aged and ugly. Is this an overreaction on my part? All right, folks, what do you think?
It's not an overreaction, and you don't need any middle ground. Your fashion is your fashion. If he doesn't like that, he can just deal. I understand that OP wants to dress in a way that makes her feel comfortable,
Yeah.
and he doesn't need to have any say over your fashion. It's fine if he doesn't like things. Like, I remember I got one pair of sequin jeans, and Brian was not a huge fan of them, but because that's just not his fashion sense. But he had never made me feel bad for wearing them, and was like, "You shouldn't wear those." Like, you and your partner can have differences in fashion senses, and that is okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are some garments that I think that aren't my favorite that Amber has had in the past, and I mean, I've never told her not to wear them because I don't think that that's my place, right? And I think that as for OP's question, you don't have to wear anything that you don't feel comfortable or confident in. I mean, what's the point of having clothes if you don't feel comfortable or confident in the clothes that you have, right?
Right.
And as for whether or not they're aged clothes or anything like that, I mean, I think that anyone can wear any clothes at any age, and I don't think it really matters. I think what's more important here is that OP feel comfortable in their clothes and not feel like they are, out of place, or that they are, like a fish out of water or anything like that.
Well, my read on this is more that it feels like OP feels like he's taking away her youth, and that he's kind of like making her all bundled up like she's a married lady. Which, again, not to say that once you're married you have to dress all frumpy. I mean, or anything like that. But generally, the clothes that are marketed to people in her age bracket are very different from what he wants her to wear.
Yeah.
And also, he started dating her when she was wearing these clothes, and what has changed? All that has changed is he feels like he has the ability to control her now. And so I think he needs to re-examine, why does he want her to wear this? Is he afraid that other guys might look at her? I mean, people have eyes, but if your partner is faithful, they're faithful.
Yeah, well, I think that some people just get weird about clothing, and I think that's really unfortunate because, I think that, again, you should choose what you want to wear, and your fashion shouldn't be stifled by your partner just because they're uncomfortable with what you wear. If you're uncomfortable with what your partner is wearing, and this is something that they've always worn, then you have to kind of ask yourself why that is. And that might be an internal problem that you kind of have to, work through with therapy, as opposed to limiting or trying to control what your partner is wearing.
Right. And if you really want someone with a certain fashion sense, date someone with that fashion sense. Don't date someone else and try to turn them into what you want.
And that's the problem I have, is it feels more like he's trying to turn her into someone else that she's not. Yeah, so not great. Really not great. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, I just found out that my stepfather, a 53-year-old male, has been talking to my dad at his graveyard. And it's the sweetest thing. My dad passed away 15 years ago when I was 9, and my brother was 14, and my sister was 16. I won't go into the details about how he died, but he was struck by a speeding car. My mother waited 3 years before starting to date again, and she met Robert. Robert is a great stepfather. My brother and I call him Dad, while my sister calls him Rob. He's never tried to replace our dad and has always shown respect for him. When you meet Rob, you can tell that he is a bubbly and friendly guy. He has a way of bringing people out of their shells, and after just 10 minutes of conversation, it feels like you've known him for 10 years. I live farther away from my family since I just completed my bachelor's degree and will be in law school for another 2 years. Because of this, I don't get to visit very often. I usually only go home for holidays and in the summer. Well, last Thursday, I visited the gravesite and I saw my stepdad. At that moment, I knew that I shouldn't have, but I overheard their conversation. My stepdad said something along the lines of, "Oh, you know how Hannah, my mom, was going out on Sunday? Oh, you would have died if you saw her face. Oh, wait, I have a photo." I just paused at that moment. It was like watching two friends talking and sharing a beer. I walked up and I asked my stepfather what he was talking about, and he was still laughing and said, "Oh, look," and was just holding a photo of my mom with a spilled margarita on her pants while he was red in the face dying from laughter, and I started laughing too. We all started to talk about stuff in life, and I left 30 minutes later. This was the most wholesome moment, and after I asked him how often he visits my dad, he told me every week with his mom. But this week, my mom was busy. This was so sweet, and I'm so happy that he visits my dad. These were all fake names, by the way. All right, folks, what do you think?
It's very wholesome. And the world needs more people like Robert.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I think that is a really healthy way to handle coming into the life of a family who have lost a father. He was able to be a father figure while also not replacing Opie's dad, and I think that's really good.
Yeah, I think that's really what a lot of people need to take an example from Robert here, right? Because there are so many people who feel like it's their right as soon as they walk into a family to be called dad and to take over this fatherly role or even motherly role, right? And that's not fair to the kids, and it's not fair to themselves because it's an unrealistic expectation. But it sounds like Robert is just a sincerely nice person who just wants everyone to get along and, just wants to be there for people. I'm glad that OP has a stepdad like this in their life. And I think that Robert, again, he just seems like a golden type of person. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What do picnics have in common with family reunions?
Oh, I know exactly what picnics have in common with family reunions. When you go on a picnic, you get to choose new family. And that's because there's a lot of ants around, and then you pick them up off the ground, and then you have more family members.
They both attract ants.
No, that's what I said. So you now have new family members. So make sure.
It's kind of like the dual meaning of the word ant.
Yeah, ant, the little creature that crawls around.
Well, also like your relative.
I mean, that's what my relatives do.
Okay, that explains a few things. It's a teddy bear picnic day and also National Kitten Day.
So remember, today's the day the teddy bears had their picnic, if anyone remembers that. And so make sure if you are going to have a picnic, make sure that it's with your aunts and with your teddy bears.
And kittens.
And your kittens. What could possibly be more wholesome than all of that? I really don't know. Maybe with Robert as well.
And along the lines of wholesomeness, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who helped to make my book release last week really awesome. So I'm so thankful to everyone who said nice things or shared my stuff or bought my book. It all means so much, and so I know I say thank you a lot, but I really am genuinely so thankful to all of you.
Yeah, so thank you everyone. And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a little wholesome.
Love is not a finite resource.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.